in to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucius, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde, and the governor. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to another fun episode of Athletics LLC. One more LLC sleep before the live recording, live attendance at the convention. So get ready for that. But welcome one, welcome all to another fun episode. Governor, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. There was a funny tweet that I saw yesterday, and it was pretty simple and to the point. You know, unless you live in Texas, it's kind of hard to explain Texas weather.
Oh my gosh.
And trying to explain Texas weather to someone that doesn't live here. So yesterday it was 81 degrees. We had one of the best training sessions that we've had all year. It was unreal. We wake up this morning, it's 46 degrees, wind is blowing sideways, and we're out there just looking at each other like,
what just happened?
Like, are we really doing this today? Like, seriously? Welcome to Texas.
Sammy Dabbs, I can't remember if it was on Facebook or what social media, he said, Mother Nature is mother effing naturing right now, or mother naturing, something to that effect. And I was like, facts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sammy Dabbs for that one.
In a nutshell.
Thought I could be brilliant and, move practice back an hour and a half. As I was walking into the building for the indoor facility, it was 39.5 degrees.
Yeah. So cold.
It's like, I mean, yeah, if I lived in the Midwest, we'd be outside, but I don't.
We gave that up.
And it was regeneration. It was not,
Yeah.
Ain't no need for me standing there, teeth chattering.
Side note for everyone who just needs a giggle real quick. Lyndon has relabeled regeneration to re-workout. He said, this ain't a regeneration, it's a re-workout. Anyways.
Oh, that is a fact.
Clyde, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I mean, apparently I'm doing amazing because I don't know anything about these Texas plights of nonsense. You see this photo behind me. This is not a live shot of the day, but this is every day in Cali.
Oh, man.
As the world should be. So,
Work it, Clyde, work it.
I mean, that sounds so good, except.
So true.
Except for the Santa Anas, except for the wildfires, except for the taxes.
Listen, with all due respect to the wildfires, because they are a problem, and many people have had their lives altered. That's a country problem. I don't live in the country. I live in the city.
Oh my gosh.
We don't have these issues.
And you don't have this next issue either. What's the cost of gas?
Zero.
That's what I said. You don't have the current
$0.00.
You don't have the current cost of gas. But
when you live in your best bougie California West Coast life.
Yes. Now Clyde has first world problems. I like it.
Yep.
Somebody got to have them while the Godfather's away.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Lamar, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I think I felt like I should inform people that I am from the United States because people have started thinking I was from Grenada.
You're the most light-skinned Grenadian there is.
There's white Jamaicans, so I mean it's definitely a thing.
Listen, Chu said that, not us. What's up first?
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
It's okay, I'm the Asian Grenadian coach. They don't make no kind of sense. So
yeah. Oh,
anyhow,
goodness.
All right, moving on. Keeping the reel going forward. Speaking of athletes and those of their input, can you peak your athlete too soon? We're just going to jump into that hot water because this is about the time of year when as us coaches start thinking like, they're doing it. Do I need to taper them? Do I need to build them up? Do I need to load, like whatever words you want to use? do you all think that you can peak your athletes too soon?
Oh, you know what? Somebody's got to go first. I'll go first. Okay, I'll say by definition, yes. Right? Strictly solely by definition. But I think more, this is just my own personal interpretation of what I think is being asked. I think more the question is, can your athletes run too fast or jump too far too soon? And that answer, in my opinion, is no. Because if your athlete runs really fast in April, but that is part of what your planned training is, then you have all the right to fully expect them to run better in May, better in June, best in July, if that's when it's supposed to be, or best in August when that's supposed to be, no matter how fast they run in April. What I think happens is people have preconceived notions of what they think their athletes can or should be able to do, and then they exceed that for the time window, and then they panic. And so then they change what they're doing, therefore creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'll use the most obvious example to me, especially because Sir Lucius isn't here to speak to it. Last year when Arion ran 19.4 in, was that even May or was it April?
I think it was April. In
April, I laughed because I said, well, he's gonna run faster than that. Right now, it's in an odd, in an odd stroke of incidents, he did not, but it was planned for him to, and he trained to run faster in July and August. It just, the race didn't present itself and it didn't quite work out that way. But at the end of the day, there was zero, oh my God, he ran too fast in April kind of conversation. And I'm a firm believer that if you plan out a macrocycle and you're paying attention to your microcycles, right? So like you're reading along as this book is being prepared. I don't think that that's ever a problem. If they run fast in April, that's awesome. I think how you react to them running fast or jumping far in April is where the problems can come in.
I'll chime in on that, and it's interesting because I have now been conditioned, and this is going on almost 3 decades now. How many of us are sitting there in the stands in Austin, Texas, and someone does something absolutely insane
in April in Austin,
in first week of April,
every year.
I was just gonna say first week of April,
and we're all standing there collectively looking at each other like, okay, how is this kid going to back this up? And we all think it, right? We're all just going, my goodness, could he have saved that? Could he have saved that for June, July, when it really matters? And what I've come to realize, and I've had both conversations. I've had mentors tell me, oh man, well, this is going to be an uphill battle from here on out for this kid, because this kid is going to end up chasing this mark for the rest of the year. Well, let's put it into context. All right. We've had this conversation on the show. There are certain places on this planet where you are going to do absolutely insane things. The environment, the atmosphere, the intensity, the timing. Okay. Let's not ever underestimate the fact, if you've done a full indoor season, you've come off indoors, you had that little bit of respite, but you're still in shape, right? Mm-hmm. You're no longer, you've been through 2 to 3 months of just competing, right? So it's there in your legs, already there. and then drop you smack dab in the middle of the track in Austin, Texas, of course you're going to run fast.
Right. Principle
Right?
alone.
It's perfect timing, right? But here's the thing, as a coach, I think this is where coaches get into trouble. Athlete A drops a ridiculous time. Coach A now has to put things in perspective. All right? Great job, young fella. But we got 3, 4, 5 months to go. We've got work to do. Okay? And that's the part of being a coach. I feel that you should not be, yes, athletes, you cannot ever put a cap on what athletes can do. Never ever put limits on what they can do. You know, the training might be trending in the opposite direction, but they just love competing there, right? So they bring out that extra magic. The bottom line is this: we still got to keep things here mentally. All right? You dropped under 10 for this first time in your life. Congratulations. All right? But we need to be thinking about how to replicate that over and over and over again, right? So the idea, I think it's much more mental than physical. I think it's much more of a situation where, you know, the athletes, the coaches that are not experienced and don't understand how to put things in a context, those are the ones that get into trouble. That's how I look at it.
This particular topic irritates me. Not the fact that we're doing it. I appreciate the fact that we're doing it, but just the typical conversations and the paths that this topic usually goes down really, really bother me. I like the and accept the breakdown, the EP, the context that he put it in at the beginning of this. There is a fantastic clip out there in the internet verse right now, very recently from one of Vince Anderson's clinics, where he said it just about as good as you can. This idea of too fast, too early, it's cowardice. And that's exactly what it is. I co-sign that 100%. And the reason this discussion usually irritates me is the people who are obsessed with the buzzword of peaking are usually people who have never peaked an athlete to any kind of status ever. So I don't have a lot of appetite for that conversation from people that haven't proved that they know what they're talking about. Listen, last I checked, my job is to make people run fast. And if they're going to run fast now, great. Then that means I got 6 months to figure out how to get them to run fast later, faster later. I'm not trying to start it slow just to find out how well it can be later on. I don't get that. If you have properly trained your athletes, and here's the key, properly rested them, then you're going to get the ultimate performance from them at the appropriate time, as long as they're not mental or emotional basket cases. I don't understand the idea of the thought that you, like the people who think they can hit this thing perfectly on the day because they didn't do blah, 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 blah. Or I don't get it. I don't get it. And you know, this element is usually comes down into, you know, the speed and power events and that whole thing. There's no universe where I've ever woke up and went to an early season meet and was like, okay, we're gonna go out, we're gonna compete, we're gonna try, but not hard enough to be like really good. I don't get that. I got an inter squad meet coming up next week. I want to see PRs. That's what I want to see. I want to see these people run better than they ever have in their life. Do I care if they do in December? No. But we've been working for a long time now, and I want to see the results.
Yeah.
And based on said results, as we go into the break, I will plot the next thing based on the markers of where we are.
Right.
And to me, that's all early season competitions are. They're practice with jerseys on. We're going to go to the meet and we're going to work on a thing, and we're going to live with the results. I don't get it. And the idea that we would try not to be fast on purpose early in the year because of some kind of physical burnout. There's no scientific evidence of that, just to be clear. There isn't. And probably the best example of that from last year that guarantee you 60% of the population thought would crash and burn is Abby Steiner.
Mm-hmm.
Abby Steiner opened her year with an American record in an off event. And a lot of people are like, well, the crash and burn is coming. It didn't come because her and her team strategically planned out her season, and she was just fine. She ran fast at the start.
All 53 races of it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you are intelligent, you'll get where you need to get to.
No, listen, I don't want to belabor this point, but to Clyde's point, like, look, when I was in college, you had to, so let's just take indoors out, right? There was a qualifying standard for the Pac-10 meet, right? So you had to put up a mark good enough to go to the conference meet. Then you had the most important non-conference meet, which was a dual meet against Stanford 2 weeks before the conference meet, right? Then 2 weeks later, you had the conference meet. And then 2 weeks later, you had the national meet. All of those meets were important. Like, I mean, one was in April. There was some in May, right? And then the greatest stimuli was in June. But I was going as hard as I could in every one of those scenarios because they were all mandatory, right? But the training around those marks and the rest around those marks is where the creativity and the artwork of being being a maestro, of being a coach is about, right? Like, but at the end of the day, you're doing three things. You're preparing, then you are managing a season, and then you are adapting to stimuli all year.
Yeah. I mean,
all year.
The part that is not being talked about is individual goals. Okay. You are new on the circuit. You're trying to get invited over Europe, right? You're trying to get into meets over in Europe. Okay. What do you have to do? You have to put a marker down.
Perform. Yep.
You have to show that you have the ability you have to garner the attention of these folks over in Europe, that they will invite you to their meet. From an
That's one of the reasons your first year out of school is the hardest.
Exactly.
That's right.
And the other thing is, as a collegiate athlete, with the length of the season, okay, it is better, in my opinion, to go ahead and put a marker down, get the first round out of the way, okay? And now you can train, you can prepare, and you can get ready for the gauntlet that is conference, week off, first round, week off, nationals.
And can we pause there, because that is extremely important for everybody.
Yes, it is.
Okay, because the majority of people who are probably interested in the show that are coaches and athletes, there's very few pros out there, right? There's very few Olympic medalists out there, right? I don't work at the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Mouse is not here tonight. We miss you. But when you have a team like that and athletes like that, at any point you're going to show up, you're going to get your marker. The top 48 is, considered done deal before we start, right?
Yep.
Barring injury. The rest of us, it's usually a fight. And I'm going to tell you what, there is nothing more stressful for coach and or athlete to be going into the conference championship and you're on the bubble.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be on the bubble.
No.
Or worse, just outside.
Right. I don't want any part of that. I want to be solidly in the top 25 well before the conference meet starts, so we can just go focus on execution.
Nobody wants to be sitting there waiting on the results of the Big 12 meet, the SEC meet, the ACC.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will tell you, right, having lived this, horror show, if you are in the Big Ten conference, you can't depend on the conference meet stimuli to get you where you need to be, because the stimuli does not warm up 39 degrees. Right now, look, I'm not pooping on the Big Ten. I'm just saying, look, the weather in the Midwest in May is volatile.
Yeah.
So there are some years where the Big Ten meet has the best weather of all of the conference meets. There are some years where the Big Ten meet outdoor temperature is worse than the outdoor temperature during the Big Ten indoor meet.
That's right.
That has happened.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, again, if you're going to manage these things, right, because management of your troops is part of it. If you have kids that belong in the first round, it is your job to get them there early.
Absolutely.
I think part of not what we've missed, but the other part of the question that I'm hearing is, if you presumably peak them too soon, which we're saying is just dispelled, but that thought of they ran fast too soon. Oh, I need to slow them down. Oh, I need to back off, and things of that nature. And it's like, you're not helping. Rest is a thing. That's not backing off. Rest is a thing, right? And then you go to the part where they ran too fast too soon. I must have been doing something wrong. No, you've done it all right.
Yes.
You just didn't think they were that fast.
Yes.
Listen. We are upon the convention. I will not be that level of petty and out people by name. But a couple of years ago, I was standing around a conversation at the convention, and Coach X basically was telling this story about how the previous season, their kids, the majority of them, opened the outdoor just crushing it. And it was like, oh, I've overstimulated them. I've peaked them too soon. And we need to, quote, back off, and went back to what they called tempo training.
We've all heard this, Clyde.
And I wasn't in the conversation, but when he said that, I literally put my ginger beer down. I was like, what the did you just say? And then I'm the bad guy.
Right.
I was like, bro, you
it's like conversations about the year that Michael Norman opened the season at Mount Sacrament, 43 seconds. Right. And because that was his seasonal best, it's like, see, I told you he ran too fast too soon. I was like, no, they messed up the training thereafter.
The context.
I mean, and then remember, he got hurt.
You just hit the nail on the head right there. The trick is, when somebody does something above and beyond, right? How do you keep them healthy? Okay. How do you manage the physiological side of things? Your body goes into shock, right? Are you turning around and hitting them hard with a hard workout 3 days later? Do you understand physiology? Do you understand what that person has just been through, the shock that's gone through that person's body? And are you able just to, because backing off in our world?
Like, so think about it this way. Like,
no evidence. There's no science-backed evidence of this phenomenon. There's none.
So here's I'm going to put it conceptually to the general public, right? Because we do have even aged coaches, experienced coaches who don't have this concept down. We speak in professional development, how we're always trying to raise the floor to raise the ceiling. By giving that exertion of that execution, time, jump, mark, whatever it is, you've now raised the floor. So now the ceiling has raised, and you have to adjust and adapt and modify going forward.
Absolutely.
Not go to the basement.
Yeah, it's like
literally just that was my Cliff Notes version right there.
Yeah,
perfect.
So
it's perfect.
I mean, if that doesn't make sense, please give one of us a call. We'll have a conversation. Like, we're all willing to have this conversation with you as to why, and we will talk it out. And maybe you give us some new piece of information that we go, okay, retract, insert, go for it. you know, whatever it is.
To be clear, we are not on this show telling you to have your kids run as fast as they're going to ever run on April 3rd. That is not what we are saying. But what we are saying is, if they run faster than they ever have on April 3rd, what you need to do is go back to your notes and what you thought they could do, erase all of that, and just keep training them and see what happens.
Yes.
Well, don't erase it, just cross it out.
Yeah,
so you know
cross it out, circle it, be like, I was wrong here. Let's see how right I can be.
Don't punish your children for your low expectations.
Exactly.
And you know, here's the funny part, right? All of us, every single person who coached within the COVID era has seen this happen because they trained for so long and they came out of COVID and everybody went crazy.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've already seen, well, okay, nobody died. It's okay to run fast in April.
Yeah.
Just run faster in May, June, July, September, whenever the heck it is.
And that
just
involves,
coach them. Learn to coach them.
And that involves a lot of talking and a lot of explaining and a lot of keeping, hey, let's not go anywhere past here right now. Okay. That was a moment, but we still have the journey ahead of us. Right. And that's the part that, you know, I think because athletes sense those things. They can sense that in you. If you come back to practice the week later or 3 days later, and you're afraid, or you're even giving off this approach like, I don't know what to do with you now. You've now thrown my entire, what I thought was going to happen, you've now thrown it in the toilet. Well,
not just modify.
It's called adaptation. You're adapting. You know, this person isn't who you thought this person was.
Praise Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's a good thing.
Right.
You're actually worth what I thought you were. Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
You know, if your athlete is showing that they're not a first rounder, that they're a NCAA finalist.
Yes.
Okay. Train them as such.
That's a good thing.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Got it. All right. Well, speaking to those who have peaked on time and doing things the right way, per se, I guess we're leaving room for argument on this one. Miss Caitlin Tui, who is our national champion for D1 cross country this past 2 weeks ago, is it? I don't even know how long ago that was now, but in our most recent history, she has signed a deal, an NIL deal recently with Adidas. I'm just going to leave it at that. ... What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Hold
on. It's an exciting time.
Did you guys hear that? That was the gatekeeper opening the gate for the running of the bulls.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very exciting time. And first of all, Miss Tui is phenomenal. So bravo, lady. Congratulations.
Rock star.
Deserve it.
For the record, we've been on that bandwagon on this show for a long time.
You say? It's, first of all, for all the people that are freaking out, you actually need to read the available details of said deal, and you'll realize it's a big deal in the crux of like the new world that we're all living in and what life is going to be like moving forward. Like, it's a big deal. It's actually not that complicated or big of a deal. Okay. So she is going to be compensated for her value to this company that they see in her. She's going to be a commercial for them. She's going to be a promoter for them. Great. Phenomenal. Fantastic. She deserves it. And if they see value in her, why would anybody be bothered by that or upset by it? I think people are just scared of the unknown and scared of change. I mean, the best thing about this being legal now is it just might, and I don't know what year in school Miss Tui is, but I'm gonna pretend she's not a senior. It just might keep people like her in the NCAA system a little bit longer, because if they can make a couple G's, a couple hundred G's on the side, because of who they are and their connections to company X, Y, and Z while maintaining their eligibility, then why the hell would they have to turn pro fully? It would be silly of them to do so if you think about it, because now you still get everything paid for. You still get all the benefits of being within your collegiate system, you know, the free travel and the free room and board and the free meals and the free coaching and all of that. And you can make whatever people are willing to pay you on the side because you're fast or because you jump far, or because you throw far. And you don't have to give up or jump into the other side of it, which is as cutthroat gets. So it's great. And she is the first. She damn sure ain't gonna be the last. And honestly, I think it's long overdue. So congratulations to you, Miss Tui, and you know, rock it out. Do your thing.
So
Yeah.
I have I have an interesting story, and I don't know if I told you this, Lamar, but so when I broke through my sophomore year at Rice and started to in 93, I ended up the year ranked number 4 in the world. And things started to change. And back then, we had the opportunity to compete over in Europe as amateurs, right? And you know, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. But at that point, shoe companies had the opportunity to see collegiate athletes in the professional setting, lining up with the big dogs and actually giving them everything they could handle, right? So here's what happened at Rice. We did not have a shoe sponsor, right? The team didn't. We wore Hind. Remember Hind?
Yes.
We wore the Hind track pants. We actually at one point were wearing the we found some old baseball jerseys. I'm talking like from the 70s and 80s. We were wearing that as our track tops at meets, okay? And it was our staple, it was our thing. Long story short, Reebok stepped up and said, we will sponsor the track team at Rice.
Oh, wow.
But they had a very specific reason for sponsoring the track team at Rice.
Oh, heck yeah, they did.
So that's when the courtship began. Because you had, you know, myself, Bronson, Chris Jones, Ivory Angelo, all that were capable, right? And the relationship started from then. But in a lot of ways, it wasn't the only difference between what they did when I was at Rice was that they didn't pay me. It's really the only difference. Okay. So what ended up happening? Well, if I needed gear, pick up the phone. It was at my doorstep, right?
Wow.
And that was a completely, we're talking about 20 plus years ago. Okay. Now we are in a situation where it doesn't matter who the shoe sponsor is of said school, right? If a shoe company now sees value in the star quarterback, in, you know, the top distance runner, that athlete can now be a representative for that company. And this is something that we have been waiting for. We have been pretty much expecting. It's not an if, but a when. And congrats to Caitlin Tui for, you know, for being the first. She won't be the last. And I'm here for it because just as Clyde pointed out, this is not a one and done NBA world. Track and field is not, you know, you got to go through your 3 years, and before you can go to the NFL. Okay? This is not a sport where if you are not smart and if you are not pertinent, if you're not enterprising, that you can actually make money off of this. So if you're on a full scholarship, cost of attendance, and you're also making money, representing yourself, building your brand, why wouldn't you stay there? Okay? Get as much notoriety as you can, win as much titles as you can, right? And then go off into the big bag world of the pro circuit. I think this is actually going to be a good thing for collegiate athletics. I think it's going to keep the big dogs in place. And I think NCAA track and field is going to benefit greatly from this. I'm very happy to see it.
I think all of that is completely incredibly well said. And I will just pick up said baton and keep running. And I'll say this. The sport of track and field is industry leaders in technology and industry followers in policy. This is only a big deal because she's the first person in track.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's like several thousand in football, several thousand in basketball, both genders,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like several thousand in baseball already. Right. So it's like a localized big deal, right? We know more about technology than every single sport that's out there. Like, they're learning from us. I laugh when every time I go in the football weight room and they got a new gadget to them. I'm like, awesome, y'all got that. But like, good for them. Seriously, like, like, I'm glad they're figuring it out, because it used to be when we were in school, like, they were just cavemen and they did things the way they do them. And they just lived in this weird world where they thought that the football players were the strongest guys on the team. I mean, on campus, and on every single campus, the shot putter and hammer throwers were stronger than every single football player on every single campus. And strength to weight ratio, all the female sprinters were stronger than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. What I think is going to be awesome, and I think the governor really kind of slammed it home, is because there are not millions of dollars waiting for track and field athletes.
Yep.
What better be in every one of your thought processes is getting your degree. And now there are definitely going to be some people that are going to make more money in college than they will when they get out.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. And to be clear about her deal and others to come, she signed with Adidas for now. When she turns pro for real,
correct, she can sign with anybody.
With Adidas, she don't have to be.
Right.
If she don't want to stay with Ray Flynn, who coordinated this deal for her, she don't have to.
Right.
And that's honestly the most interesting part of it, if we're talking like real inside baseball type stuff, right? Ray Flynn's one of the top agents in the business, especially for distance running athletes, right? Well, now it's kind of like an audition.
Mm-hmm.
He has to now, like, he got this done, but now he has to continue to show and prove and his value to her, or otherwise she gonna be in a position like, actually, I'm gonna do this pro thing somewhere else, which is only good for the outcoming athletes. It's only good for them,
and it's important.
So, yeah. Like, you gotta earn it more now. And I think with that.
And I think it's important, Clyde, that, just as you said, you have to delineate between the NIL contract,
yes,
and what a true pro contract is. They are not the same.
They're not even close.
No, like the parameters, the money, like none of it's, the rules aren't the same. And the fact that there's no quid pro quo allowed is what makes it all the most interesting, right? Like, like nobody can expect Caitlin Toohey to become an Adidas athlete.
Exactly.
We may assume that,
Right.
but no one can, in actuality, expect that that happens.
Right.
And that is where the boon is. That
Yes.
is where I think that this can help collegiate track and field a great deal. Because let's be clear, Caitlin Tuohy's deal means that there is more money being spent on track and field in the United States than there was last year.
Yep.
Because nobody had an NIL deal.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, like, you can go backwards and imagine what Flamingo's NIL deal would have been when he was in college. Like the, you know, to the governor's point, like the first school that tried what Reebok did with Rice also happened in Houston. But does anybody else remember when Mizuno was only sponsored one college team?
Exactly.
Mizuno sponsored Houston.
Yep.
Right.
It was the only team in the entire country that was wearing Mizuno gear.
Yep.
That's right.
And shoes.
And the shoe piece of this is the shoe company piece of this is super interesting to me, right? Because let's be clear, all the heads of these shoe companies, and we all know them, they're all petty people at heart. So it just so happens that NC State is an Adidas school, so it's a natural little thing. But if Nike just found a way to cut that, she still has to wear the team sponsored gear in the races. And then she can walk right off the track and shoot the Nike commercial.
Very important to again.
And that is coming.
And for those people who think that that's weird, are you guys not paying attention? Nike, like, look, this is what happens in the Olympics, okay? The US track and field governing body signed a deal with Nike, right? But the parade uniform deal was signed with the USOC, like this is for me in 2000, was with Adidas, right? So on the second day of the decathlon, I literally went to the track with two complete full sets of uniforms. One allowed to be worn while I was competing, and one absolutely and positively mandated for me to be on the podium. And I could never switch the two. Right. So this has been done for a long time. Yes. Right. If you're on Team USA, that uniform is Nike. If you're an Adidas athlete, your socks, shoes, hairbands, everything else are allowed to be Adidas. So like that, this has been going on for a long time. And the most famous one, obviously, is when Converse was the USOC sponsored parade uniform for the, I think it was the 84 Olympics, and Michael Jordan was obviously, maybe it was 88, but
90,
Michael
it was 92. It was 92.
Oh yeah, it was Dream Team, right?
92.
So Mike's obviously not allowed to wear, I mean, he is the swoosh at that point, right? Not allowed to wear any Converse gear, and there was all this debate over whether he was going to be on the podium, and they just threw a flag over his shoulder and called it good.
He specifically did that.
I mean, but that
I'm
was,
not standing up there letting that be on my chest and drape the flag over it.
Right. And they figured it out, and that's what's going to happen. So like, you know, this particular deal is, I'll say, relatively neat and clean cut. The deal I'm popping the popcorn for and waiting for is when Adidas goes after the top athlete at a Nike school.
Yes, no,
or when Nike goes after the top athlete at an Adidas school, because that's coming.
That's 100% coming.
It's coming.
Well, the other part of this that is, I don't know, we're seeing it happen in football right now. Okay. If you were to go look at the laundry list of NIL deals that Bijan Robinson at Texas has, and the amount of money that he's making, okay? NIL pretty much allows athlete A to do what they cannot do in the pro world, which is get a watch sponsor, get a hat sponsor, glasses, contact lenses, spicy mustard. Now you're having all of these different entities that are now pouring resources into you. You are now a conglomerate. okay? If they see value in you, then why not? Okay? And that is the part that I feel like collegiate athletes have a really good opportunity, because the things that they're able to do on an NIL level, they will not be able to do in the pro track level. So how will that jive? You know, once they've gone through and they've had these freedoms, right, to go out and use their likeness, and then get to the professional world and they're telling you, well, you have to wear Adidas from head to toe. You have to wear Nike from head to toe, right? That is a big, big difference.
I mean,
Well, that's my hope, right?
every professional league has a drink sponsor, an eyewear sponsor, a shoe sponsor. They all every league has those things, right? And unless you're at a certain level of ilk where they can't force you, and we're only talking about like less than 0.5% that are in those leagues, right? Then you are league mandated,
Right.
right? Like you could be sponsored by Powerade if you want to, but if Gatorade owns the contract as the drink sponsor at all NBA games, you're going to be drinking out of a Gatorade cup.
Absolutely.
Nobody cares what's in it.
Yeah.
If it's now the clubby's job to pour Powerade into your Gatorade cup, that's fine, as long as there's no Powerade bottle seen anywhere.
Exactly.
Because that deal is bigger than you.
And that's ultimately my hope with this, right? Like the very few, like Miss Tui, who are talented enough and perform well enough to land these kind of situations. At the end of the day, I hope they become smarter about business before they step out of the safeguards of the NCAA and into the fire that is pro track. And if the NIL process is the driver of said education, then we all should be better off for it. So I am here for it.
Well, and so that's my challenge to those of you out there who are creators of these NIL opportunities, is to not only milk these student athletes dry, but to educate them. And I actually know that there are a couple entities firsthand who are out there to make this a thing. They're having these business type created relationships, but for mentorship and leadership, not just to use their name, image, and likeness. So I challenge those of you out there who know these people or are these people to also do that. But yes, good deals. I mean, that was a great conversation. I think everybody thought it was going to do otherwise, but that was a good conversation. So this is where the train goes off the rails and and we get a little reckless. Oh, college football penultimate rankings. Mic drop, exit stage left, insert opinion.
Chewy, I don't think this is going to be as dramatic as you think it's going to be, unless
yeah, but everybody else does.
I mean, unless I have a totally wrong read on my colleagues here. Let's be clear, the antagonizer is not here with us tonight. So listen, I mean, at this moment, they got it right. I mean, what's really to be upset about at the moment? Okay?
Wait a minute. Pause for a second. Pause for a second. And we're going to give this man 2 seconds of our time because it was redonkulous that he put this on social media. Mr. Mont Johnson, you said
you just shooting at low hanging fruit right now. You
said that this team needs to be put lower and this team needs to put lower and this team needs to be put lower, but never said who should be elevated. So therefore, sir, are they not in the same spot? Yes, you can text and call me as soon as you see this.
Listen,
but
I decoded
I know
that particular shenanigans in real time for everybody. Y'all gonna get off my man. He was having a day.
He was.
That was insane. It didn't make sense. But I decoded it. So that neither here nor there. Listen,
yes.
Again, the chaos gods, if you're a fan of chaos like I am, chaos hasn't really shown up this year, in any meaningful way.
But
no, right now. So I am leaning.
Don't
in.
take it all. Leave me some.
I'm just leaning it. At the moment, they got it right. Look, 1, 2, and 3 are undefeated. You can cry and whine about who's 1, who's 2, and who's 3. Personally, I have one question about 1, 2, and 3. Since the computer says that the strength of schedule number 1 is TCU, then how is TCU not number 1? If TCU, if Georgia or anyone else had the strength of schedule number 1, everybody would be out there saying they should be number 1. But whatever, they're all undefeated. They're all fine. I'm gonna take it a step further. If any one of those 3 teams lose this weekend, they're all still gonna get in.
Yes.
USC is the one that's in the crosshairs. And yes, they are. They are in the crosshairs.
So I'm so glad you left it there because I wanted to pick it up from right there. So this is what I need for people who don't do deep dives. I've done this work for you. This is what I need you to hear. Because it was put in the best way possible for randoms to understand. They did a computer-generated probability of the achieved records of each of these teams. So to explain that, based on TCU's strength of schedule, based on who they actually played, are you looking? 3% success rate. 3% chance for any team to be 12-0 facing the teams that they played. There is no question that based on what's been done on the field, TCU has passed the most and the toughest tests, and I've said that for 6 weeks. And now it's finally been proven, and it still doesn't matter, and it never was going to matter, but I wanted to yell at the wind. Georgia, look, listen, everybody has been on this planet long enough to know this much, right? People refuse to embrace being wrong. If Georgia started out the season at 1 or 2, there is nothing that anybody else is going to do that will get them to vault them as long as they don't lose. I'll give you the perfect example. The best win of any team this year was number 3 Michigan beating number 2 Ohio State by 2 touchdowns on the road.
Yep.
That win is at least 20% better than every other win that anybody else has. So there is literally no justification for them not being vaulted to 1.
That's right.
But not one human being that is sane and watches college football really thought that was going to happen.
Yep.
And if you look in deeper and look at the margins, you look at where the votes happened, there wasn't even any change. Georgia was 1, Georgia won, Georgia's gonna stay 1. Michigan's 3, they beat 2, we're gonna go ahead and make them 2. Now, where the funniest part comes is a month ago, I said which teams had their own destiny in their hands, and they have proven to be as such. But what's really funny is one domino can fall, and then all of the chaos on the planet starts.
So
right?
Looking forward.
And here's the part that makes no sense. The domino that people keep predicting is going to happen. At this point in time, if it fell, it shouldn't matter. If TCU was to actually stub their toe and lose this game in a rematch game against, as I said a long time ago, insanely underrated Kansas State team, if they were to lose this game, there is a better than average chance that they would end up outside the college football playoff with the strongest strength of schedule.
Yep.
with one loss.
I don't think that'll happen.
You're praying it doesn't happen, but my point is,
No, I'm praying it does happen. Actually,
the fact that it is even a possibility is insane.
I would love for that to happen.
The fact that there is actual conversation being had about the possibility of Alabama still getting in should just tell you everything you need to know. If you are at TCU, if you are at USC, you need to win and beat the brakes off the people you play.
Yep.
To eliminate any thought. Because I can tell you this, if you're waiting for Michigan to lose to Purdue, I mean, listen. I got friends that are on the Boilermaker staff. They have so far outkicked their coverage to be 8-4 and in that game that is just tremendous. That's awesome news for them. I hope they all get raises, and that's awesome. But let's be clear, whatever bowl game that they qualify for after losing in the Big Ten championship is where they are going. Georgia, it doesn't matter. Georgia could get kicked to sleep by LSU, and they are going to be in the 4. So them two are lockups. TCU, as Clyde very eloquently said, should be in the same category as the other two. They should be game planning for Georgia. Right? They should be game planning for Michigan. But they cannot. Right? Because they have got to win this game against Kansas State. Mind you, here's another piece that nobody's paying attention to. Nobody will give TCU credit for. And yes, I seem like a homer, but I just don't like anybody not being treated fairly. And I look at it like this. Every other conference does their conference championships as the East versus West, North versus South. The Big 12, because they have been hosed so many times by this process, did the only thing they could possibly do, which is make their conference championship game as hard as it is possible. The top two teams during the season play in the championship. So it is almost always going to be what? A rematch.
Well, there's something, it absolutely is a rematch in the Big 12, because the Big 12 may be called the Big 12, but they only have 10 teams. And they all play each other during the season. So it's absolutely a rematch. It's the best way to do it, actually.
No question, but they're the only conference that does it.
Right. And they did it. That genesis goes back to the Baylor TCU screw job from a while back that our
100%
that our missing player tonight didn't want to talk about because it wasn't convenient at the time. But there's neither here nor there. Listen, I don't care who ultimately gets in, because the whole thing's fraudulent to begin with from where I sit. So I root for chaos. So I am openly hoping that TCU loses. Not because they don't deserve to be in, but I just want to watch it be ripped away. And I want Alabama to be inserted, just because that would make it even better for me to laugh at how ridiculous this is. USC has the hardest game. Okay. Utah is a very real team. They already beat them. That game was in Utah. This one is not. So I don't think USC is going to lose. I think USC is the better team. USC has the best player in the country. I would love to see Caleb Williams in the playoff. But if USC loses and they insert Ohio State or Alabama, who should instantly be disqualified already, I'm here for it. I root for shenanigans. Ohio State, if any year, like, we shouldn't even do the penultimate. It should just be, we should just skip ahead, because Alabama getting curb stomped the way they did on their home turf should be disqualifying. Alabama has 2 losses and they're not even in the championship. They're the 3rd place team in the SEC. So how are they even in this conversation? The only reason they're not going to have 3 losses is because they're not playing this weekend. So, but hey, I'm here for it.
I was mad. I was so mad that Clemson lost for obvious reasons, right? But way more, I was mad for the chaos effect. A 1-loss Clemson team that wins the ACC championship. Oh my God! Watching all the pandering that was that was happening, that would have happened. Oh, it would have been just tremendous.
That's Dabo. I'm not here for it. Win the games.
I mean, and we're not going to discuss LSU.
See?
Right?
See what you just did?
But this is the point, right?
You can't lose to that Texas A&M team.
No.
Well, here's the thing, right? But if you saw it in real time and you heard and read the reaction in real time, what was the conversation? It's the SEC. A&M's awesome. A&M's talented. That stuff like that happens when it's the hardest conference. Well, you know what? Again, out west, I saw a meme this week. They call it the circle of losing or some crap like that.
Oh yeah.
Every Pac-12 team beat each other, right? But out west, that's supposed to be a sign of how weak the conference is. But down south, it's a sign of strength. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Out west, you have to travel from Arizona desert to the mountains and snow of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
These are real travel trips in different climates.
Altitude.
Like it's so much harder to go undefeated out west.
Altitude and time zone.
Time zones. Yep.
Altitude and time zone.
Since I'm probably gonna get the year wrong, but since 2000, there's been one legitimate undefeated team in the Pac-12, and that was Oregon, the team that lost to Auburn in the championship game. Sorry, Reggie Bush and them, y'all was cheating with the recruiting. That don't count. No one else.
But if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So
literally no one else has done it. In the SEC, we get undefeated teams every year. Every year. Just saying.
Yeah, it's it doesn't
what's
matter.
Georgia's best win?
Huh?
What's Georgia's best win? Tennessee?
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. From a rank,
that is their best. That is their best.
It's a good one. It ain't better than Michigan's best win. It ain't better than TCU.
And again, it depends on. It's like at this point, it's not because of revisionist history, right? And we also always have to deal with the recency bias. When Georgia beat Tennessee, it was the biggest win of the season.
Sure.
Right. And so what I'm saying is like,
home,
this one. Look, this one happened afterwards, and it happened on the road and all those things. So like, I don't think it's really arguable, but the fact that it happened last helps, because if you reverse those, right, then
before we get up out of here, can I get everybody, including Choose, what's your top four in order? The real top four. When I said they got it right, I mean they got the right four teams.
Okay, I'll go first. I will actually say that it should probably be Michigan, TCU, Georgia, USC. But I would be more than okay if it was Michigan, Georgia, TCU. I think to me, TCU belongs in the 2-3 matchup. I don't really care which one they are. Right. I would not make them number one, because I do feel like when you come from way off the pace and catch up, right? They faced the most tests and the hardest tests, but that's because they were the furthest off the pace. Like, I get that. Right. I'm okay with them not being number one in the country. But I think Michigan should be number one.
I agree with you, Lamar. I think Michigan beating the brakes off of Ohio State, doing what they did, I think they deserve to be the number one team in the country. And the being overlooked is not a reason to not be ranked where you're supposed to be.
I agree.
Okay, that's not. And it's interesting just hearing the pundits that are continuously just bashing everything about TCU and everything that they've done, and diminishing the incredible season that they've had.
They act like it's luck.
Yes, they do. I would put Georgia 2, TCU 3, and I'd put USC fourth. And I think either way, I think it creates, I think those are the best teams in the country right now. And, you know, what is not being discussed, and I really wonder what these, you know, from an SEC standpoint, from a Big 12 standpoint, Big 10 standpoint, is it worth more to have a championship game where your team could end up missing out on the playoff than it is to have the championship game? See, and that's the part that's okay. TV says it has to happen, right?
Facts.
But let's be honest. These championship games are trap games.
Well, they are now because the whole system is fraudulent. But
Absolutely.
now that they've decided that we're going to 12, now the championship games are critical because the champion, you know, the person who won something,
yes,
automatically gets in, as it should be, you know, in a playoff, like every other sport.
I mean, I don't think at this point in time, it's unarguable that 12 will be better than 4. I mean, let's be clear. I think everybody needs to understand this. 12 is an awful number.
It's a bad number.
It's a bad number.
It's better than 4.
But it's better than 4.
Yes.
Because I'm guessing 12 means we're going to have 4 teams with a bye.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the only way that math works.
Top 4 get a weekend off.
Top 4 will get a weekend off.
And then everybody goes from there, which I'm here for. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, look, 12 is going to be better than 4. I don't care how they do it. 12 will be better than 4.
What you got, Chewy?
I say the same. Michigan goes into 1. I'm gonna say TCU too, just because
of course
I just got paid today, so I gotta say TCU too. I'm not stupid. Paycheck says
somebody had to put a 1.
Right? No, I can't do that one. I'm not foolish.
Okay, so look, I always get into debates during this time of year about the 4 best teams versus who deserves to be in. At the moment, the 4 best teams are in, and they deserve to be in. So I don't have to have that conversation. But when it comes to rankings, is Georgia the best team in the country? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out when they have to, you know, play people. But they have not earned the distinction of being number 1, not remotely, not in my eyes. So to me, it's Michigan, TCU, Georgia 3, and USC is 4, because they earn that. And again, I don't think any of those 3, Georgia, Michigan, or TCU, I don't care what they do this weekend, they should be in. Because even if they lose, Ohio State has 1 loss and they're not in the championship, and Alabama has 2 and they're a 3rd place team. So I don't care what happens this week. But don't get it twisted. TCU and USC, if you lose, you are out. You shouldn't be. But if you lose, you will be out. If Michigan loses, if Georgia loses, they're fine. But them other 2, they're going to find a way to get you up out of there.
Now, I will say this. If TCU and USC lose, TCU will still be in.
Correct. Because they'll just get rid of the West Coast.
Because they'll still be like, I don't really actually think there's a way that the 2 lost Bama team gets in. I don't actually think that that's possible.
You just said it in the ether. Now you know what's going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen because TCU and USC aren't going to lose.
I'm kidding.
Well, listen, this isn't how Alabama gets in. Here's the crazy part about it. Because remember, it's the 4 best teams, right? If LSU beats Georgia in the title game,
nope.
You're gonna leave. You're gonna leave.
I was all about it. I was all about it until they lost to A&M. I am sorry. I don't care what they do.
No, I understand, but I'm just telling you, if LSU finds a way to go into Atlanta and beat Georgia, LSU's getting in.
Nope.
They're not going to
Not a
leave
chance.
the
Not a
SEC
chance.
champ at home.
Yes, they are. And
No, they're
to
not.
me, but there's your chaos. To me, there's your ultimate chaos, right?
That's what I'm looking for.
Is that Georgia, we all agree Georgia's in, right?
Yes.
LSU beats Georgia, wins the SEC championship, doesn't get in, and Georgia does. I'm telling you, that's going to happen if
the best possible thing, if you ask me what I'm rooting for this weekend,
that should be it right there.
I am rooting for Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers to win their game, and for Michigan, TCU, and USC to blow out their games and win, just so I can watch who they're going to screw to put LSU in. I just want to see it. I just want to see it.
Because look, there is no way that Georgia's not in.
Right.
Absolutely. Georgia's in.
And like the ultimate chaos would be if they lost to LSU and they ended up in the 4 spot and the LSU Tigers in the 5 spot as the SEC champ. That's happened too. It hasn't happened exactly that way, but it's happened where the SEC champion was lower than the loser. It's happened. Oh, it should never happen, but
Oh my gosh. All right.
yeah.
Putting a stop to this now.
Hey, we did a good job. We kept it, not crazy.
Well, I mean, that's all been noted, and I'm sure somebody will remind us. Somebody will. We will all be receiving phone calls. So, with that said, Governor, you are in the ring for Would You Rather. Right?
I have the most petty would you rather question ever.
I'm
Love
ready.
it. I can't wait for it. So, going into some holiday theming and some of your recent social media trolling. So, would you rather drink hot chocolate or hot cider?
Hot chocolate.
Do either of you like hot cider? Clyde or Lamar? Okay. Oh, see? Okay. Moving on.
I
Would
like
you
them
rather?
both.
Whatever. Would you rather endure a gymnastics meet or a track meet as a spectator?
Say that again?
Would you, as a spectator, would you rather endure a gymnastics meet or a track meet?
Gymnastics.
They only got 4 events.
I mean, the speed with which they go through their events and the organization and the
transitions.
It's next.
Transitions are choreographed. I'm sorry.
We
would you
stand
rather
to learn a lot from what gymnastics does. Granted, it's in a confined space, but yeah.
I don't understand how we can be as organized as we are in combined events, but still have track meets with gigantic lag.
This is true.
That one doesn't make any sense. Like, we show you how to do it every single time.
Yeah, that's true.
You have action. You have meaningful action every 30 minutes.
Stop it, sensical. Would you rather cut down your Christmas tree with a saw or a chainsaw?
Chainsaw.
We chose violence.
I was like, we chose violence this weekend, and it wasn't great.
Started, like that's
enough for you.
Yes.
True story. My first time with a chainsaw when I was 14, and I was not even 100 pounds, so that was very entertaining. Anyhow, moving on.
Oh my God.
Would you rather be a lecturer at the convention or be a part of the audience at a lecture?
Do I envy TJ Harris right now? No, I don't.
Hey.
I can't wait.
They come in for you, dog.
You know what?
They come in for you,
You know
dog.
what? I just can't wait till one of you buttholes rides in on a scooter.
See, now you just put that in the ether.
Sorry, TJ.
No,
all right, last
definitely
one.
put me in the audience.
Got it.
I'm good.
Both my guys on stage. Both of them.
Yes.
Both of them. Yep.
Both of them.
Both of
them. Would you rather take over a team who is already at winning status or build a team from scratch?
I've done both.
Which
And,
one?
yeah, I mean, the amount of pride in building something, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. Making history,
Yeah,
love it.
true. All right, gentlemen, floor is yours for Would You Rather.
I should go first or last.
Go first.
You said it's petty, so I
It
don't know.
is. All right. The governor. We are down a player this
Oh my
evening.
gosh.
So, and your initial arrival was when we were down a player, myself.
Right.
So if LLC has to be down a player,
Oh my gosh.
would you rather be gone?
Oh, now that's petty.
Between us all, it could be you.
Oh,
Who knows?
he's probably going to pick me, which is, I get that.
Oh my goodness.
What's it called? Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Lamar. I'm gonna say Lamar, because Lamar and I, we kind of share. There's some
Right.
DNA there that, I mean, can't figure it out. From our early days in Austin, Texas, 1992. I won't go any further.
Yeah.
Brothers for life, man.
These are facts. These are undeniable facts.
Yep.
That all of our significant others have been forced to accept at some point in time along the way.
Yes, indeed.
Oh man. Chu, would you like to go? Or would you like? Oh, you don't get to go.
What are you
See,
talking about?
the numbers aren't making sense for me. I'm used to there being another person. Sorry.
Basically, he's not prepared and he's trying to buy more.
Oh,
time.
no, I'm prepared.
Let's be real.
Listen, I gotta ask my brother a question.
Look, still buying time. Ask a question.
Can I mute you? Oh man. All right, sir. I'm trying to ask a not also petty question, so I was trying to stay away from the Cowboys, but I'm not going to.
Here we go.
Would you rather that the Cowboys overcome their current situation and beat the Eagles and win the NFC East finally, and then do what they always do, lose in the first round of the playoffs?
Oh my gosh.
Or would you rather that they stub their toe, trip and fall almost all of the rest of the way, end up as the 7 seed, but win a miraculous last second, we'll call it a Dak walk-off, to get out of the first round finally?
Yes.
And we'll see what happens in round 2, because don't nobody in Dallas know what happens in round 2, because Jerry's the only one who's alive that the last time y'all was in round 2.
Is the mic on? Hello?
Exactly.
Hello? The answer is yes. I'll take the playoff win.
Playoff.
I'm sorry, can anyone hear me? I'll take the playoff win.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was funny. That was
If
funny.
Look, everybody in Cincinnati still remembers what happened last year and still appreciates. They don't remember what happened during the regular season, and they absolutely do not care.
Nope.
They care about is what Cincinnati did from that first playoff game all the way up until, when they lost. But that was a magical journey, and I would love nothing more to see Dak lead our team to victory after victory. And look, just please, let's just stop it, okay? Because what winning the regular season will do, it will set every Dallas Cowboy fan on suicide watch.
Set you up for failure, as always.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, not to mention the NFC East being as strong as it is this year, with 4 teams possibly making it into that's what they're predicting out of
And
one.
that's currently what it is.
Right? So how embarrassing could that be? And it's real. It's absolutely real.
That's why you should hope that y'all don't get OBJ, because then the pressure's on. See, at least if we get him, then they're just gonna say, well, the Giants have 1 wide receiver now.
Exactly.
Look, if you like NFL chaos, petty chaos,
Oh my gosh.
all 4 teams from the NFC East make it to the playoffs, and only Dallas loses in the first round.
Oh my God.
Okay. This is my would you rather. This is mine. Okay. Let me have this moment. Just please. All right, you.
Oh my gosh.
We're
All
hoping
right.
for the best for you.
Oh my gosh. All right. Would you rather? I mean, not would you rather. Heartbeat props. I'm sorry. Wow,
I'll say what?
Yeah, I just went back in time. Heartbeat props.
I'll go first. Mine is super simple. Like I said, we are building up to the convention, and as previously mentioned, both with an F, both of my assistants, Mr. TJ Harris and Mr. Ernie Clark, will be on the dais giving their presentations. TJ will be doing a presentation on triple jump, and Ernie, I actually don't even know what his presentation is about yet because he ain't told us. But
It's up.
well, I don't know the topic though. It's sprints and
yes.
hurdles. I just don't know.
Max V.
Max V. There you go. So, come out and support, heckle, boo. It's all allowed because I'm gonna be doing the same things anyway. So, no, but for real, it's
but why TJ gotta have the 8 a.m. though?
I'm very upset. I'm very upset about
Man.
stage time. I'm not happy about it. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take about 10 coffees and a Red Bull, or maybe I just won't go to sleep. But somehow, some way, I'll make it there.
When is the spades tournament? Is it the night before?
Whatever the night before is, I'm not gonna be recovered by 8 a.m. But I'm gonna be there. So, but that's what happens when you're the rookie on stage. You get a bad time.
Oh yeah, you get the 8 o'clock.
Yeah. So first time on stage for him. He's been toiling for a while. I think he's gonna do great, and everybody loves Ernie on stage. So I'm very, very proud of my crew. San Jose State will be represented extremely well, and I can't wait to see it. So props to you fellas, and everybody come out and do what you do, heckle and cheer.
I want to give heartbeat props to UTSA football, and anyone that's been paying attention, it has been 13 years that we've been in existence, and the stat line that is now making the rounds, and I sent it to you guys, and it's kind of hard to fathom that we're one of very few teams in the state of Texas that have managed back-to-back double-digit win seasons. And I don't think it really matters what level it is, but to sustain that in a sport as brutal as football is unreal. It's unbelievable, and it's a testament to these guys, the fortitude. And as we go into the championship game this weekend against North Texas, we're planning to pack the dome. We're aiming for 50,000 fans, which will be one of the biggest crowds that we've ever had. And I'm just proud. I'm proud to be a UTSA Roadrunner. I'm proud to be a part of this organization, this administration, and looking forward to bigger things as we move into the American Athletic Conference next year. Go Runners.
That will be awesome. Would you like me to go?
I don't care.
I will not be cryptic, but I cannot be completely forthcoming, but I'll say this. My heartbeat props go out to David and Laura Charlton for being the best type of human beings there are on this planet.
Yes, they are.
There's a young man who's in need of something that is vital to his career, that there is absolutely no way that he could fund what is needed. And the Charltons, in their very wonderful benevolence, have agreed to help this young man in ways that are unimaginable. And all I can say is they are blessings of human beings. And, you know, if more of us were like them, the world would be so much better of a place. But we got them, so let's cherish them while we have them.
Phenomenal people, great family. How y'all doing? Miss y'all.
Similar to Governor, my heartbeat props are to TCU football. I haven't done it the whole time, right? But it's about that time. You've now gone undefeated. We're going into Big 12 championships. You know, from the outside looking in, I've been watching all the progress and the change of culture and all these things, and you see the differences. And there are some who don't, and there are some who have made adjustments and whatnot. But that's to go to any transition. But to have the transition that they've had in the year, it's just in the air, and it's just illuminating our department. You know, there's a different change in the air. There is a change in the air to just what's going on the whole. So we know that the football does roll everything and kind of dictates how the tide goes, but it's also in a positive way right now, because the positive tide is definitely amongst our department. So kudos to Coach Sonny Dykes as the leader of the whole entire clown posse, and then Cause as well, because he is their performance coach. And so there has to be kudos there as well. So good stuff to them, and to all of the teams playing in their championships this weekend. Show up and show out, but definitely TCU. So, and the Roadrunners, because we do care about them too. So
Appreciate it.
Yes. But so with that, all that said, thank you very much for all of your attentions. Thank you for all of your suggestions every week, text messages, comments on the videos, messages otherwise. They are all listened and discussed. And if you don't see the change happening, keep bugging us, because we oil the squeaky wheel sooner or later. So other than that, everyone, gentlemen included, have a great week. Sir Lucius, we can't wait to have you back next week, and we'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, it's Roadrunners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and failed and sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.